He smells like man with a lot of sin, or like sin with a little bit of man. It's intoxicating and forbidden, and probably poisonous, but a real nice way to wake up dead. My mouth waters. Fuck. Okay, today's quote is going to be from Flip Trick by Amo Jones. I want to start off by saying, with a full disclosure, I love Amo Jones. I've loved everything that she has written, and there's only like 2 series that I haven't read, and that's because she's like pulled them off and is like revamping them or like whatever. With that being said, I was not happy with this book.
No?
Not at all. I loved the angst. I loved the pull and pull, but I felt like the pull and pull was too repetitious, and I felt like there were too many plot holes. And I'm wondering if this was her first book that she had written. I can't remember. It was either
I don't
this or
know.
Sicko, I think. I'm pretty sure it was this, maybe. They were just like, she had Amethyst. She had a very good role model of what it's like to be a woman in a relationship with a man who has a son. Laura, I don't know, the lawyer. So I don't understand when she found out that what the fuck, Maddox had a son or a daughter, that all of a sudden they couldn't be together. Like that, I didn't understand that. They kept on saying, "Oh, he didn't want to be like his dad," and I'm like, "Your dad never left your mom. He stayed with her, and you were raised. And look at you. You guys have a great relationship with your father." Like I didn't understand, and I don't, and it made me so upset. I would have liked the story better if they would have stayed together and then tried to build a relationship while he was trying to build a relationship with his daughter. That was my first issue with it. Do you want me to list all of them, or do you want to dissect this one first?
No, go ahead. What are the other issues?
So my second issue is I was really confused about the timeline. So I don't know exactly how long. I think they were apart like over a year. And then all of a sudden he decides to marry Cassidy. Like that didn't fucking make no sense to me. If being the family unit was so important, why didn't you do it at the beginning? Why are you doing it now? That threw me off because I felt like that was a cop out. You didn't need to be married. You hadn't been married for a year, so why now? Like I didn't understand. And although obviously the hurt toward Amethyst, again, stabbed you in the heart, but it just didn't make sense to me. Like I didn't feel like that was necessary. Them being separate was good enough because depending on your beliefs, that's, if you don't love somebody, why marry them, right? And he never claimed to
Okay.
love Cassidy when she came
No,
back.
he explicitly says, like, at no point did he love her.
So
I think he thought if he married Cassidy, it would be more difficult for him to
cheat.
cheat on her, with Amethyst. He wanted that extra barrier.
No.
I
He
think
read
that's
the
why he did
signs
it.
wrong. The signs were, you don't need to be with Cassidy, you need to leave the bitch, you need to be with Amethyst, but he wasn't reading them right, and that just pissed me off too. Men can be, obtuse on some things, but still, that was no. And then my third thing that I didn't like was that when he found out that she was pregnant. Actually, I have 4 things. When she found out that she was pregnant, and then all of a sudden he goes and fucks around with Tiffany. That was a bitch ass move. And if you're trying to build her trust, that was not the way to do it, to get her to be like, she told you beforehand, every time if we do this, I'm going to get hurt again. And sure enough. And then the final thing that I didn't like was all of a sudden there's a fucking MC. Like, what the fuck? There was nothing through like 90% of the book. And then all of a sudden, like, you kind of had a hint at a long lost sister. I thought they were twins, to be honest. I didn't think that they were, Irish twins. I thought they were like legit twins. But then all of a sudden there's an MC and there's this thing about bloodlines and having babies to rule, and like I was just like, no. But those were the things that I didn't like.
So the only thing that I didn't like was the Tiffany thing. And I do feel like there was one more pull that shouldn't have been there. Like I feel like once she had her pregnancy scare, that shouldn't have happened. I feel like we could have skipped that whole thing and still had the MC, and that had made sense. But it felt like she had, and by she I mean Amo Jones, had to put that in there so that the stuff with Travis made sense about the MC club and that kind of thing. Where I think because the MC club, I'm saying club, because the MC still kind of comes out of left field, I really don't think she needed that extra anchor point for that plot. Like you already had the grandmother in the beginning. You already know something's up with the grandmother. I feel like it wasn't like well tied by the end anyway. I don't think you needed the her pregnancy scare.
And the whole thing with Travis could have just been that he was, like, obsessed with her and he was trying to make sure that he, could keep her prisoner in parentheses,
Yeah,
strapped to him, and that's why he switched out the birth control. I could totally get behind that because he was fucking crazy. And the fact
he
that she
was crazy.
still stayed with him even though that he was emotionally abusing her. I mean, she just kinda, like, rolled it off, but, like, she acknowledged it and then still just sat with it.
Yeah, but you have to just like you have to think she is at this point, she's just like looking to get away from the feelings that she's
Mhm.
running from with Maddox. Like she doesn't actually care how he treats her because he's not who she wants to be with anyway.
That's true. I was disappointed in Amethyst. I did not expect her to have that downward spiral.
I mean, I was
Like, I expected her to be hurt and, like, devastated, but not to the point where she's almost dying because she's drinking so much alcohol.
and doing coke.
Yeah, and, like, getting filmed with I mean, that shit happened, so we can't hit on that, but yeah, like and, like, if she had such a tight family unit, why were they letting it happen? Like, why weren't they there to intervene or, be, what's the word? Not foundation, but a support system. They're
I
fucking
don't think they were
billionaires.
aware. I
They
don't
had
think
to
they
have
were
been
aware
aware.
because she's on the other side of the country and she's filming like this successful show, a successful movie. I think people can mask that stuff really well when they're that like have had that much emotional trauma at that point.
Okay, point to you, but still, they should have been able to realize that something was wrong.
No, I mean I don't disagree with that. I just I feel like again that was one of the things that like I that's probably the other thing that I didn't care for in the story is it almost like spoke to this Hollywood stereotype, right? Where like you go out, you try to be a famous actress and you fall into this like whole party lifestyle and it was easier for her because she was basically drowning in her grief.
I mean, it was clever. I loved that they met at 7 and that they were soulmates, and I loved their attraction and the tension and the angst and, like, all the things. I mean, and I'll even agree with them separating that he needed to be with Cassidy to help raise Kennedy, but I did not like the marriage thing at all. That was, like, a real turnoff for me.
I was shocked when he went through with it. I didn't think he'd go through with it. And then when Talon confirms it and Amethyst, which can we I just love that name, by the way.
Right?
Just as a side note, I really liked the names in this book as like a whole. But I you had Amethyst like go off the rails and Talon's there and that kind of thing. I'm okay with him getting married because I feel like at that point he was still just trying to make it work with Cassidy and really trying to forget Amethyst. And he thought by doing that it would make it easier when it just it doesn't.
I do not need you to be the voice of reason, Jen.
I know. I'm always coming over here with my logic and, you know, whatever.
Mood reader, emotional reader here. Okay, no, we do not want the voice of reason.
Well, and I think honestly that's why I loved this book so much is so if y'all don't know this about me already, fun fact, I love contemporary romance and I will binge read them for long periods of time. But like we talked about in our very but like we talked about in our dark romance episode, the reason I wanted to do dark romance is because it's not predictable. And it follows a much more realistic timeline that like I could see all of that happening in a real life scenario just without all of the money. Like that is a very realistic scenario. And I think that's why I love these books and stuff like this. Not so much like the serial killer romances and the stalker romances. But like in this book, it's
I
more
can see that
realistic.
happening in life.
Like I liked that there were the big like 6 month, 1 year time jumps. Like not only does it make it more realistic? But I also feel like they get a chance to begin navigating their own shit before they come back together. Because if they had stayed together when they were, what, like 18, 19, and 20 something.
They were in their 20s because they were drinking at the clubs.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, they were both in their early 20s. Yeah, you're right. It might have worked, but because they were so push and pull, I don't think they would have worked long term without going through
The
real
tragedy.
life. Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah,
I don't disagree with that, but whatever. But
yeah.
she,
I loved it.
yeah, she writes so well that just she's stabbing you in the heart with the pen that she's writing with. That's exactly what she's doing. And she does that with
Yeah.
all of her work. I really want you to read her other things, The Elite Kings, Nate. Oh my god, I love
Well, and
Nate.
that's the other thing. That's the other thing too. Like, this is my very first book of hers. So if I went into this book with like certain expectations based on other books, I may have, a similar opinion to you. But without that history, I loved the characters. I loved how the story played out. He was a bitch for getting together with Tiffany. That was the one thing, like, if I could erase anything in the book, it would be that.
Okay. Well, with your logical reason, I second that. All my other things are just hissy fits. Of course.
Oh.
And of course, me messaging you as it happened. I try not to send as many as I did last time with the perfect strangers, but um,
Oh, it doesn't bother me any. I
I
love it.
know, I know. I'm just like, what the fuck? She's in a psych ward? Like, where the fuck did this come
Oh,
from?
that cracked me up. I'm like, oh no, she's having a perfect strangers moment, and it's nothing like that at all.
I
She's
was
having like
like,
PTSD.
yes. I was like, this shit better not be happening. Like, how the fuck did Maddox let this happen? And then all of a sudden they say cut. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I had the same thought though. I was like, and I actually I had the same thought. Like, excuse me, Maddox allowed this to get this bad? Like, hell no, hell no.
That was genius.
Yeah, it was. It really was. I will say, as much as the MC came out of left field in some ways, I actually liked it. I felt like it added it. I feel like because of all of the bullshit that Maddox put Amethyst through, and it really, in my opinion, it was more on like his bullshit and less on hers. I feel like that like twist allowed him to actually show that he would like burn the city down to get her. Because really, up until that point, all he's done is made bad decisions.
Right.
And I feel like that was not quite a redemption arc, but like,
That was his song outside the window.
yes.
I
Yeah.
made a contemporary reference.
You did! It took me a second to get it, but I got it. Look, I've never seen that movie, okay?
I've never No, that's a lie. It's one of those things where you watch when you're younger, but as you grow up you don't remember it, so it doesn't really count.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
That's what that is.
But yeah, I liked it. And I'm wondering if that whole like plot twist leads up to another book somewhere, I think.
She has the MC, but the MC is the one that she pulled down to because it was one of her first, or maybe it was her first to rewrite. And I believe she's releasing it first on her Patreon, and then at some point she'll release it to the public, the
I gotcha.
revision of the story. And it's like 5 books, I think. She has 2 of them. And I think both of them were the MCs that she pulled down.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense because you had two gangs,
But I don't know if they're interconnected or not. I'm pretty sure
right?
not. I own the first book. It's like 150,000 scars or something. I'm totally making that up.
I I really liked, by the way, when it took me a second to realize what was happening because I forgot that Amethyst's dad was a cop. or is a cop. So when she gets, I mean, she doesn't really get rescued. She kind of doesn't she walk out on her own when she's
No, she
kidnapped?
passes out because they hit her too hard over the head,
That's right. And she goes into a coma. Okay.
and then she can't remember
Um
for a minute.
yes.
I
When what?
I was gonna say something, but it would distract you, so continue.
Well, when when one of the cops, I guess that works on the force that his dad was is on or something, the guy was like, she's one of our own, Maddox. Whoever did this will never see the light of day again. And then when he's inside, he pauses and chuckles. We can have him be taken care of any which way you would like, for as long as you like, however you would like. And I'm just like, yes, I love that.
Yes, I
you
agree.
you've turned me into this bloodthirsty person, Misty.
My plan is working.
Yeah, I loved it.
I really would have liked the amnesia arc to be longer.
No.
I know, but I love can you imagine the heartbreak and the angst and the torture that would happen between everybody if she couldn't remember them?
I feel like that would have worked earlier in the story. Like if that had happened instead of
Going to the hospital because she got so drunk, the alcohol poisoning?
maybe, maybe, like maybe if like it was a completely different story. Like the first half is they split up, the baby, like Kennedy happens, Maddox leaves, then he gets the divorce, she gets kidnapped, and the amnesia, and then you have that whole
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing fan
yeah.
fiction in our future.
But yeah, any like I think if you added the amnesia
Oh,
plus her pregnancy scare plus like all of the insanity, I don't think it would work.
can you
What?
imagine he gets the divorce and then shows up and she's like, "Who the fuck are you?" Because nobody told Maddox she lost her memory.
Oh, oh my god, that would be wild.
Amo listening, or Sarah, if you're listening, Sarah's her like magic wizard. Let Amo know. This is when she does the rewrites for this. If she does, we got her. We'll be her muses. Not that she needs us because she did it all on her own, but still.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
that would
no.
be pretty wild. But it's funny you said that because there's the last quote I highlighted is it's from Maddox and it says the fear of not knowing if she's going to remember is damn near crippling. What if she doesn't want me? What if she doesn't allow me to show her? What would I do then? I'd lock her in my basement and make her. That's what.
Yep.
Oh,
Greatness.
that would get dark fast.
Oh yeah, be great. I'm pretty sure she does that in some of her books already. No, Amo is amazing. I love the intricate stories that she writes and the characters that she develops. I don't think there's any other thing that throws me off of her writing. Like she's an auto buy for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are some things that I don't agree with, like with this, with Flip Trick. There's a couple of things and like a few other stories that I don't agree with, but overall, it would not deter me from buying her or reading her or supporting her or still trying to meet her. I met her once before I became a fan. And then I haven't met her since I became a fan, which is probably really good because I might embarrass myself like I did with Penelope Douglas. But I mean, I really wasn't embarrassed. I'm pretty sure everybody was embarrassed around me, but I don't care.
Oh no. That's funny.
But I would love to meet her after like reading pretty much all of her work and like just seeing her grow as a person because she is phenomenal. I love how she interacts with her fans, her community. She's very transparent. She, doesn't, if something changes, like hypothetically, or not hypothetically, like currently she's doing the Kids of the Elite Kings. And it was supposed to be one order, and then she changed it, and she's like, "I changed it because I'm feeling these characters more than these." And we're like, "Okay, that's fine." And then she pushes it back because of the duet with Megan, but she was like, "It's long, I was struggling, and I wanna make sure, I put out the best work possible." And I appreciate that. I will wait longer if you will write it better than if you're just trying to put it out because the fans expect it from you, and I just don't like that.
Yeah.
And I can respect that. And that's why I'll always be a fan as long as she keeps that up.
I love it.
Yeah, that's my little tribute to Amo. Maybe we can get her on the podcast one day.
That'd be awesome.
Try not to freak the fuck out. Anyways, so we talked about what we didn't like. We talked about what we did like. Oh, one of my favorite scenes, though, is when they're talking about how they accidentally shot her boyfriend in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you something. I think I boxered this to you. That is now like the foundation of any overprotective father. Well, did you shoot her boyfriend in high school? Well, then no, you are not a protective father, okay? Because that's the standard now. You need to shoot him in the foot because you thought that he was a criminal, okay? Even if it was mistaken identity. That's how this
Yeah.
works now. I need something that extreme because it was greatness. I
Yeah,
loved
that was pretty
Amethyst's
great.
humor. I love that she didn't care about what people thought around her, and I loved how she connected all these different personalities. But my favorite thing about her, if you couldn't tell from the quotes, is her love for donuts, because that's my thing.
Yes, she did love her
Just
tiramisu
saying.
donuts.
Not tiramisu. Tiramisu is disgusting because I'm not a coffee drinker. But donuts. And that's it.
It's fair.
We're ready to do the ratings?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So dark scale, I'm going to say 1 skull. The few like fight scenes or whatever, I mean, they weren't violent. Like,
No, I'm not thinking the fight scenes. I'm thinking about like what happened when she was kidnapped and Liz was kidnapped. And I'm trying to think like what was on page and what is
she blacked out. She woke up tied to a chair or in a room and then passes out from the blood loss. And then Lisa, I don't know what her name is. I just call her Liz.
Liz.
Was tied. Her hands were tied, maybe,
Yeah.
in a room.
Oh, and then the freak, right? Was that her? Am I getting my books mixed up? Didn't, no, never mind. I got my books mixed up for a second. Okay, yeah, I agree. One skull. It took me a minute there because
I would
I had to
say
really think these things.
we could push it to 2 because the relationship was very toxic.
Toxic.
Yeah. So 2 skulls
I
for
mean,
the relationship.
sure.
Yeah. We'll be nice. We'll give it 2
Yeah,
skulls.
we'll give it
But
2 skulls.
other than that, the environment was fine. The themes were he was just over aggressive and possessive, but that's just him. And
Yeah.
any death that happened was off page because the grandma died. They had
Yeah.
her killed. And Travis beat up, and that was all off page.
Yeah, you're right.
So 2
Okay.
skulls.
Yeah.
Okay. Spicy.
I'm gonna let you rate it because I can't remember. I'm upset that I don't remember because I was thinking like 3, maybe?
Mm-hmm. If
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't
It
think
was
it was super kinky.
it was almost fade to black.
Yeah, I know there were a couple of scenes that were fade to black and it pissed me off.
I would say
Or are you thinking 2?
I was thinking 1, but I can go for 2.
Oh my god. I wish I could remember better,
So the first
but I
time
can't.
they were drunk at the club, and he takes her home, and she falls out the window, which was a great scene, by the way.
Oh my
Runs away.
gosh, that was amazing.
He's laughing
That
at
was
her.
so great. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they had sex in her dorm, but I think that was one of the fade to blacks because she's like she woke up sore from riding him all night or
Mhm.
something. Then there was the scene where she's like, "Don't hold back" or whatever, and he like leaves all the marks on her. That was pretty hot. I'd give it, and
That was hot.
that's probably
And I
why it's
think
only a 2. It's just the
because I
1.
think we got 2. No, I think we got 2 scenes like that because you have that one, and then
The one in the
when after
hallway
he no when he
takes
after
the.
he beats Travis almost to death, and then
Oh
she's
yeah,
with in that room. I think that was a similar scene.
it was.
Okay.
I would still say 2 though,
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with 2.
mostly because the other ones are fade to black,
Yeah.
and it didn't make me sweaty. Isn't 3 sweaty?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, 2 on the spicy. Overall rating, I'm gonna let you go first.
I'm a much nicer rater than you are.
Yes, you are.
I'm giving it a 4, and I'll tell you why. Because there have been very, very few books that I have been able to sit down and literally finish in one sitting. And this was one of them. Like, even if I disagree with some of the things, I could not stop reading this book. I read 70% of this in one sitting. I don't think I moved. I think I basically yelled at my son to get me snacks.
Nice.
So, like, almost for that reason alone, not that I would actually yell at my son to get me snacks. Almost for that reason alone, I have to give it 4. I loved their relationship. I loved, like, the back and forth. I liked the realistic timeline. I liked the growth that they experienced by the time they got back together. Yeah, it's a 4 for me.
I'm going to give it 3.
A 3?
I'm going to give it a 3.
I did not think you were going to give it a 3. I thought you were going to give it like a 2.
If it wasn't Amo Jones, this shit would be getting like a 2 or a 1. But it's because it's Amo, and I know her writing has progressed and become very, very dear to me. I will give it a 3 because 3 is, it was good. You should check it out, right? Like, it's not.
Right.
So this would not be the book that I would recommend people to read of hers. If anything, because we haven't read the duet or the Bone Tides yet, because that's an incomplete series, I would tell people to start with the Elite Kings 100%. Oh my gosh. There's 7.5 in the Elite Kings. So the first 3 is about Madison and Bishop, and then the second 2 is about Nate and Tilly, which Nate is mine. And then the third duet is about Brantley and Saint. But then we have like sort of a novella that goes back to Madison and Bishop, and that ends it. And then you have Midnight Mayhem. Look, I'm over here like trying to sell you. Never mind. We'll stop. But I mean,
the point is, go read Amo Jones.
Yes. Okay, readers, and where does the darkness rate with you? Thank you for joining us on the journey into the shadows of love, where dark romance stories come to light.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bones of the Story as much as we did. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us.
And to stay updated on all things dark romance, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
We'd also love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, ideas, or even your own dark romance stories with us. Drop us a line at bonesofthestory@gmail.com.
Remember, our next tantalizing episode is just around the corner, so keep your hearts open and your senses sharp.
Until then, embrace the darkness and let the stories continue to stir your deepest desires.
This is Misty
and Jenn,
signing off
from Bones of the Story.